Wallace Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
Tonight is a first for the SAVE22 Premier Truck Series as we head to the state that is best known for bourbon and bluegrass, heading out to Kentucky Motor Speedway for race number 5 of the season as we begin gearing up for the chase for the playoffs. Mark Whitley was last week's winner, and he will look to build on that momentum, but he has a whole field of challengers trying to take that number 1 spot from him. We're going to be bringing you all the action live right here on V-Speed. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. My name's Daniel Cunningham, joined up here in the booth with Bradley Cooper running the production truck and also doing the co-commentary this evening. And as always, we've got those cameras courtesy of the legendary Dougie Beard. And Bradley, these drivers, they've already got a head start on the night. They've got their qualifying runs finished up here, and we have got the grid set. So what do you say we just go ahead and jump right into it here this evening and hand out that JAM Printing and Promotion Pole Award. Since forming in 2013, JAM has contributed printing and promotional sponsorships to more than 60 local nonprofits with a primary focus on organizations that assist veterans, women, and children. They have been with Goat Locker Racing since the very beginning, local and veteran certified. When they do well, they do good in the community. Starting on the pole this evening is going to be the 51 of Levi McCarty. The JAM Printing and Promotions Pole Award for JAM Printing and Promotions truck, rather, to his outside in second. That is a 07 of Patrick Drabick. Starting on the second row here this evening is going to be the 40 of Ken Huber with Cody Anderson to his outside in P4. Starting in fifth is going to be Chance Taylor. Chuck Pegleg Phelps to his outside in the 6th position. Rolling off in 7th is Wesley Burke, Mark Whitley in 8th. And rounding out your top 10 here this evening is going to be Jason Kristen in the 9th position with Jonathan Cofield in 10th.
Charles Abert in 11th position with Tyler B. Justice in 12th. 13th going to James Goshen, Michael Jones in 14th spot. 15th, James Kaufman. Jacob Ellingson is going to be in 16th position. 17th with Daniel Parks. Michael Kostick, your points leader coming into tonight. And Thaddeus Real Jr. and Mike Browning will round out your top 20.
Rounding out the field here this evening, Brandon Wallace in the 21st position with Eldon Stewart in 22nd. Starting in 23rd is Matt Knights, and rounding out the field, he made it this evening. He missed the last couple of races, but he made it here this evening. Noah Hogard rolling off in the 24th position. And that is your starting lineup for tonight. Bradley, I know we just kind of jumped right into it there at the beginning with these drivers finishing up their qualifying runs, but how you doing this evening?
Great, man. Friday the 13th. I know that I mentioned we needed to talk about that, but there's some bad luck through this series, and I wonder if that's going to be compounded. We won't name any names, but I have a feeling that there could be something that goes wrong here this evening.
There very well could be. You talk about superstitions in racing. You talk about running on a full moon night. We've got a Friday the 13th. There's actually 3 of them over the course of the year, so a few opportunities to see how that luck plays out. And you know what? At the risk of tempting the fates on Friday the 13th, what about a couple of pre-race picks here, Bradley? Put you on the spot. Who's your pick for the driver to watch or driver to win tonight?
Well, he's kind of the rising star. He's had a lot of luck. Talked to him there last week. I think that Wesley Bird finally finds his way to victory lane here.
I think that is a solid pick. I'll go with the driver starting directly to his outside. That is the 77 of Mark Whitley. Finally got in the win column last week at Watkins Glen. I think he's going to carry some momentum into the off week with 2 back-to-back wins. Of course, we're sleeping completely on this front row with Levi McCarty and Patrick Drabick. Either one of them could bring home that win here this evening as well. The pace truck is off. It is time to go Friday night truck racing. And it is going to be Levi McCarty leading us to the green flag. We are underway here at Kentucky Motor Speedway. Already up at the front of the field, Levi McCarty able to clear Patrick Drabick for that race lead, but here comes Ken Huber, started in the 3rd position. Oh, as the caution is out already, a wreck in the back of the pack. It is the 27 of Jake Ellingson is around. Bradley, you mentioned bad luck on the season, and on Friday the 13th, I don't think any driver has had worse luck this season than that 27 of Jake Ellingson. And maybe a little extracurricular activity with some frustrations boiling over there from the 27 machine. Let's take a look here on the V-Speed instant replay, and yeah, I can kind of see why he would be frustrated with that here early on. See if we can get one more look at it. We just caught the start of that incident there, and that is really early on lap 1 here. To be racing 2 or 3, to be racing 3 wide like that as they were thinking about there. Let's take another look here. Yeah, it looked like maybe just a little too hot into the turn there for the 85 of Goshen. It gets into the back of Ellingson. He goes around. Michael Kostick, your points leader, as you mentioned, he was caught up in it. Mike Browning got a piece of that as well there at the end. And Jake Ellingson definitely got the worst of that. Massive damage to that truck. And believe he is actually, both he and James Goshen look like are pretty much done for the night after that. James Goshen showing a meatball flag, and Jacob Ellingson sitting on pit road trying to get that damage fixed. But man, that is definitely not an ideal start to the evening. And I mean, that is big damage here on lap 1.
Yeah, I talked about it in the pre-race before we even went live, before we were even hot mic'd, and I said we got to make mention that the superstitious part of racing is compounded by it's Friday the 13th, and immediately I said Jacob Ellingson probably is going to have the worst day. I hate being right in that instance.
And I can 100% vouch for that, he was actually qualified in 13th when you mentioned it. And yeah, it's unfortunate. I can honestly say that I strongly sympathize with what Jake is going through. I have had seasons like that myself where it just seems like you are in the wrong place, the wrong time every single week. And no matter where you're at, it seems like you can't get away from it. And man, it gets so frustrating after a while. You just want to throw the towel in and just say, just say to hell with it. I'm done with it.
And, watching these guys pace around is going to be even more painful. Now, luckily for Jake, he does have the ability to repair this truck. And if we get a couple more cautions, he could recover his race, get back on the lead lap. It is possible that he could turn this around. But, at the same time, you start off, you do all the practice, you put all this time in, and within the first mile of the race, you're going backwards into turn 3. I don't know how you overcome that. So mentally, I think for Jake Ellingson, you just got to take it for what it is now. This season is done. We're getting close to that halfway point, and I think now you just go out there with the approach of, I'm racing for fun. I don't care anymore. I'm going to do whatever I want. I'm going to race guys the way they raced me in the first half of the season. And maybe you come out with a better mentality for the start of the next one.
Yeah, well, thankfully for him, what he does have ahead is an off week for Goat Locker. So that'll give him an opportunity to kind of reset, maybe take a little bit of a break, and just try to get his season righted when we get back into the next portion of it here.
Right. Well, I've been informed that I'm having a little bit of microphone issues, so we'll make a little adjustment there and see if that's any better.
We will get her dialed in here, that is for sure, Bradley, but we're getting ready to go back racing here. Let's try this again. Lap number 4, getting ready to go back green, field in control of Levi McCarty as we get ready to head into that extreme scoring restart zone. Green flag is out in the air. Good jump there for McCarty. He's able to clear already of Patrick Drabick, and a little bit of an accordion there on the initial restart, and they're actually 3 wide back there for about the 6th place. That is Whitley, Chance Taylor, Chuck Pegleg Phelps. You've also got Tyler Justice and Jonathan Cofield. That is a hornet's nest right now.
They're going to hold on to it, though. Whitley gains about 3 spots there. Has the 14, and Chance Taylor getting a really good run, though, off of turn 4. We compare this to Texas with the reconfiguration of this racetrack 3 and 4, like you said, Daniel, in the pre-race is very similar to Texas.
He's got a battle for the lead brewing here too, Bradley. That is Patrick Drabick. He had momentarily taken it away from Levi McCarty, but McCarty able to get back around. Cody Anderson now up into that 3rd position. There's your pick to win, Wesley Burke. He's up into the 4th position. And, we talked a little bit about the superstitions, about the numbers, things like that. Wesley Burke's last 3 finishes coming into this race in order: 4th, 3rd, and 2nd. Numbers say he's due to go up 1 more, but the battle for the lead is between Drabick and McCarty. Drabick trying to get to the outside. He gets into the wall just a little bit off of turn 2. McCarty able to hold the lead for now.
Just barely able to hold on there, and I think if Patrick doesn't clip that wall coming off of turn 2, he has the momentum going into 3 and 4. The outside seems to be working well enough. The 07's going to try the inside this time.
He is indeed going to look to the inside. I think if you're going to make the pass on the inside, 1 and 2 is the place to do it, as you're able to carry just a little bit more speed through the turn. But McCarty utilizing that top groove, hanging on to the momentum. He's able to still retain that lead. And I think this is going to be what we see throughout the evening. It is easy to pull alongside someone, but it is not easy to complete those passes at this racetrack. But these 2 battling for position, that has allowed the Bradley Cooper pick to win to move up right on the back bumper of these 2 leaders. We're riding on board with Wesley Burke right now, and he's doing a really nice job. The thing that I like seeing from him from this onboard is he's keeping some clean air on the nose of that truck. You can really see it in 1 and 2, running about a half a groove down. Even here in 3 and 4, he's keeping that nose as much as possible below the 07 and the 51 so that he can keep some clean air on the front end.
The catch-22, though, because when you run that low on the entry, you kind of scrub some speed, and he saw that. He saw
he
pitch
gets
here.
into the 07.
The 07 pitching there. I don't think that he was too happy with that. He was there.
A little bit of door banging, but they're able to continue on. Both drivers keeping it going for now. This is allowing Levi McCarty to stretch that lead out, exactly what the 51 truck wanted to see and not what the 04 wanted to see. He's got Mark Whitley to his outside now. So we ride on board here with the boss man, Patrick Drabick. You know, for somebody that was just having some door banging racing there, that is the look of a calm and collected individual behind the wheel of that Jam Printing and Promotions truck. Yeah, you can see it there just a little bit. Shifts the eyes up just a little bit to the mirror. You can see it a lot more right there as they head down the front straightaway. But overall, looks like he's more focused on what's going on ahead of him versus who is behind him. And doing a nice job of maintaining that position and trying to run back down the race leader of Levi McCarty, which he has cut about a 10th off of that lead and turning some pretty good consistent laps right now. So he's definitely going to be a player in this over the course of the night. Another driver that's going to be a player in this race is that 58 of Jonathan Cofield. He's currently only up 3 positions from where he started, but making some ground here, starting to put a little bit of pressure on the 40 truck rather of Ken Huber, and having a really nice start to this race, just kind of being patient, trying to save a little bit of tire, and have a feeling he's going to have some pretty good long run speed here.
Yeah, he took a stab there the last time through 3 and 4. He actually got to the inside, but as this run progresses, these trucks are going to get tighter and tighter, and being down on that inside, it's going to be harder and harder to pass. You're going to almost have to rely on the guy on your outside to make a mistake, whether that be on the entry or the exit, to complete that pass. Hence why we're seeing kind of a single file up in the top 10.
One battle for position we do have going right now is back here around this 8th, 9th, and 10th position. That is Thaddeus Friel in the 98 truck, actually the biggest mover of the race so far, up 10 positions from where he started. He was just battling with Cody Anderson for the 8th position, has started to slide back just a little bit here. Tyler Justice in that 10th position, starting to put some pressure on, trying to find a way around. And we also do have quite a few other trucks back there that are starting to close in as well. There's Chuck Feltz in 11th, James Kaufman in 12th, Jason Kristen there in 13th as well. All of these drivers battling for position. And this is what makes it so tough with this place. You go to make a pass on one driver, you can put yourself in a bad spot if you don't end up completing the pass. Next thing you know, you're getting freight trained by a couple others that get that top groove, maybe able to carry a little bit of momentum around you.
And watching this battle here, it's still side by side. The 20 to the outside of Kristen. Kaufman trying to get by Feltz. Actually had a bad run out of turn 4. Allowed the 20 to get to the outside. And Chuck Feltz is going to stay in 11th right now with 2x2 behind him.
Chuck Feltz there, that SAVE22 truck, running in the 11th position like you mentioned. Let's go ahead and give a shout out to SAVE22 here as we ride on board with Chuck Feltz, our title sponsor of this Friday Night Truck Series. They are a 501c3 organization dedicated to preventing suicide among veterans, active duty personnel, and first responders. Their unwavering mission extends to 4 critical pillars: shield, assist, volunteer, educate. At save22.vet. We appreciate all of their support. Actually got 2 SAVE22. Oh, good God, easy for me to say, Bradley. 2 SAVE22 trucks right there side by side as we're talking about the title sponsor of the series, Chuck Feltz and Tyler Justice.
Words got all jumbled up, but the action has stayed pretty consistent. I've watched here around the 10th position, and mid-pack has been a balancing act all season in this truck series. And you see a lot of guys that qualify well, they fall back to here. The guys that don't qualify well, or maybe like to make the race interesting, they work their way to this part about this time, 18 laps in. And this is where they meet. And it always makes for some good racing. Kentucky, a very great place to do that at, multi-groove racing. There's more than one way to get around this place. So I don't think we've seen the end of the action here, but Chuck Phelps has his hands full as the 20 got tight off of 2.
Oh, and they're 3 wide getting down into turn number 3. That's Kristen in the middle, Daniel Parks, James Kaufman. They funnel back down to 2 wide momentarily, but now again. Michael Jones going to put it 3 wide again in that 0-2 truck up on the top side. You called it, Bradley, talking about the mid-pack battle. This is the hornet's nest right now with these guys fighting it out. They were still thinking about 3 wide with Brandon Wallace on the outside, but Kristen finally able to get back down to the bottom of the racetrack and able to get it back down to 2 wide. And, you know, one other thing that you mentioned, Bradley, with just the way that this track races, there seems to be a pretty significant amount of tire fall off as well. I mean, just looking at the lap times, they're already over a second slower than their fastest lap times here this evening. So tires going to be at a premium, as well as the fuel runs here this evening. Let's take a quick look at our race analysis for the race here this evening. We've got 100 laps on the board. They've got 4 sets of tires available, 3 in the pits plus the 1 on the truck. That fuel run going to be somewhere between about 48 to 52 or 53 laps. And of course, the early caution going to help that as well. We do have the 2 green-white checker attempts if we need them as we get to the end of this race here this evening. So the tire strategy, the fuel strategy, all of that is going to come into play as we get into the latter stages here tonight.
We're actually shaping up for a battle here. Cofield going back on offense against Ken Huber. 58 truck has not been able to get by, but I don't think he's in any real rush to pass the 40 truck because he's been following in those tire prints all the way around. He's chased down the top 5 by following the 40.
Yeah, he's just been kind of minding his business right now, just kind of taking his time, like you mentioned. And Chance Taylor is another driver. Haven't really talked about him a ton so far, but he's been right there at that top 5 position. Started 5th, currently running 5th, although he is in danger of losing that right now to Ken Huber. As Huber looking to the inside, we'll see if he can complete the pass here on Taylor. But Chance Taylor's just been really patient, really consistent, running right in that position.
Ooh.
Huber puts a little slider on him. They're blocking all the way down to the grass.
He didn't want that crossover move. He knew that the 14 of Taylor wanted that spot back. And good defense there. I think he showed that, hey, I've cleared you. I've gotten by, and the 14 pushes it out of 2. That's going to allow Cofield to go by for 6.
And so often that'll happen here when you've got just a little bit of clean air. You lose one position, and if you've been maybe holding these guys up just a little bit, you'll end up losing another one in pretty short order, and it looks like that may be the case. Although Chance Taylor does carry some momentum off of turn number 4, he's able to stay even with Cofield. Cofield the shorter way around on the bottom. We'll see if he pulls a slider on Chance Taylor here, although he has a little bit more room than Ken Huber did, but Taylor closes right back in, gives him a shove down the back straightaway. It's like he's going to try to drive it in on the outside, maybe get to that quarter panel again, but just not quite enough grip in that 14 truck is going to allow Jonathan Cofield to get by here as well.
But Daniel, I don't know if you picked up on it there, but if you're going to take that outside line, he wanted to keep the nose to the outside of the 58, but I think Jonathan Cofield's already committed to the bottom. So maybe back that entry up on corner and get a good exit. Then you can get that next corner set up. If you don't back up the entry, you're going to push off the exit, and then there's just no momentum down the backstretch.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct on that. And it's such a difficult track to drive just because of how different both ends of the racetrack are. You know, we talked about that comparison to Texas Motor Speedway. You can see it on board here with Levi McCarty in turns 1 and 2. It's got a lot more banking. It's kind of reminiscent of the 3 and 4 at Texas. It's flipped a little bit backwards of that, but 3 and 4 here is much more sweeping. There's a little bit less banking. So even just trying to figure out how you drive each end of the racetrack can be a challenge for these drivers, but they're doing a really nice job of it so far here this evening. Although the last few laps, you've seen Levi McCarty has led all but one lap so far here this evening. These last few laps, Patrick Drabick has been slowly but surely closing in on that 51 truck, and so has the 77 of Mark Whitley. Both of them just kind of catching about a half a tenth or so per lap, but the clean air is king. It's going to be hard to get up there and get around the race leader.
You're watching a top three breakaway as we see a battle just behind your top three. It's a three-car battle for fourth position. My pick to win here tonight was Wesley Burke, battling with Ken Huber, who's battling with Jonathan Cofield, who's been very patient. Watching that 58 start to pick up the pace last time by, faster than both the trucks in front of him.
Yeah, and I got to wonder how much longer is that patience going to last for the 58 of Jonathan Cofield. He definitely has the long run speed in that truck, but at some point he's going to say, yeah, I was going to say, is he downshifting? It kind of looked like it there, and that is something that I've heard other drivers say about Kentucky, specifically in the truck series, that you can shift over in 3 and 4 once you get into a tire run. That is that's an interesting wrinkle, though, that I honestly didn't think was still a thing here. Let's take a look at the telemetry while we're riding on board with Jonathan Cofield and see if that is indeed the case here. Yeah, there you see it. Drops down into third gear, and he's utilizing that to get a pretty good run on the exit of turns. I mean, he's not in third gear very long, just enough to kind of get the engine wound back up.
Yeah, to get that truck to rotate, that downshift, maybe setting that nose a little bit. And if you perfect that, Daniel, absolutely could be the fastest truck on the racetrack. Last time by, he gained about a tenth on Wesley Burke. He's all over the back bumper down the back stretch. And Burke thought about cutting it early there. He's going to defend on the outside to try to hold on.
Yeah, Burke thought about a block and then thought better of it. Jonathan Cofield now to his inside off of turn number 4. Burke cuts down in front of him, able to maintain the position for now. We'll see what Cofield does over here in 1 and 2. He's also got Ken Huber still breathing down his neck for that number 5 position. Huber doing a nice job of hanging tough with him right now, but a big run through 1 and 2 that time for Jonathan Cofield. This is closer than he was the last time around. We'll see if he tries to drive it in and maybe slide up in front of the 04. Not quite clear enough to make it stick. Wesley Burke still hanging tough in that outside lane. But if Cofield can replicate that run again through 1 and 2, I think that's how he's going to have to set this pass.
Unfortunately for Cofield, though, he's going to have that pinch on the inside on the entry of the corner, and that's where you lose a lot. The 04 is going to defend here off the exit, and you'll see probably pull away. Yeah, it's just, that's the product of this racetrack, and you kind of said it there before we went live with the reconfiguration. 1 and 2, excellent. Keep it the way it is. But 3 and 4, the change, I think that maybe that did hurt this racetrack and the product overall. But if you can perfect that, it's kind of like you said, the reverse of Texas. You can get one run for the next corner. If you're good at one part of the racetrack, you can always benefit from the other side.
Oh, yeah, Cofield slid up a little bit there in 1 and 2. That last lap, almost contact with the 04 of Burke. He's still right there with him, trying to complete this pass, but just not quite able to get the power down the way he needs. Now Cody Anderson in the 18, he is rebounding and closed in on this battle. We'll see if Anderson decides to work with one of the two of them, or is he going to decide to take it 3 wide if the opportunity presents itself. He's running right in behind them here in 1 and 2. This is where he could have a massive run down this straightaway. I do indeed. I remember the commercial you're talking about. Hey, I'm not going to knock any kind of superstitions. I can tell you right now, since it's Friday the 13th and we're on the talk of superstitions, I actually changed my paint scheme in another league because I was running an Oregon Ducks paint scheme, and I swear that scheme was cursed. It was like every week I was just way off pace, or I was just running terrible, getting wrecked, whatever the case was. I switched to an energy drink scheme, and I went out and won the first race that I had in it. So Superstition.
I was there for that.
You were. I believe you were in the booth for that one. That was a cup race at Daytona, and ever since I've been a Ghost energy drinker. So, yeah, superstitions are great. They work. I don't care what anybody says. There is something to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, you know, the curse of the commentator, we talk about that all the time. I mean, how many times have you just mentioned the name and that car plummets into the wall the very next second? It happened on Monday.
There is one commentator curse that was broken recently, and that was you.
Yeah.
I picked you to win in another series, and you pulled it off. So
yeah, it caught up to me.
I'm not batting 1,000 anymore.
Yeah, I think that corrected itself relatively quickly.
I think you may be onto something there. But back on the track, though, Jonathan Cofield able to clear through for the number 4 position over Wesley Burke. Cody Anderson, you can see there, he was putting that superstition to work. He gets around Wesley Burke as well for the 5th position. Burke now starting to come under fire from the 40 of Ken Huber. It's like maybe pushed a little too hard early on here for that 04 truck. But let's take a look on board with this 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr., another driver with the webcam here this evening. How about that? Up 12 spots from where he started. He currently just got by Ken Huber. And talk about the commentator curse. I think we're both going to take credit for that one. Gets into the wall when we go on board with him and when I'm talking about him. But still, really nice run for him so far. About the best, most consistent run we've seen out of him so far this season. So really nice to see him kind of getting things figured out a little bit and getting up there and putting together a really solid run this evening. Justice got a really good run there and got into the back of Thaddeus Friel Jr. just a little bit. He's got another good run here off of turn number 4. We'll see if Ken Huber decides to go with him, and he does drop down to the inside. So we'll see if he can complete this pass here on the 98 of Thaddeus Friel. But as we've seen time and time again here this evening, it's just so hard to finish that move off when you're on the inside through 1 and 2. Friel carries the momentum down the back straightaway, going to pull the nose back in front of Tyler Justice. But this side of the racetrack was where Justice looked just a little bit faster last lap.
I think Justice is going to clear when they get to the entry of turn 1. And I think the speed is there for the 33. And we've seen a lot of trucks good in the short run, but again, it goes back to how are you handling this racetrack? Are you burning your stuff up? Are you pushing the truck too hard initially in the short run to gain positions and you end up bleeding them back? With the caution and the trends, maybe these guys thought this race wouldn't go green this long and they were like, we're going to get as many spots as we can. Now they're paying the price.
And that is a good possibility. Some of these races at the beginning of the season, we have seen some more cautions than what we're necessarily accustomed to here in the Premier Series. However, at some point, you got to think law of averages is going to come back. We saw it last season in both the Wednesday and Friday night Premier Series here with Goat Locker, that they had a tendency to run green. There was a lot of really good, really clean racing. Sometimes you get some new drivers in and people just learning other drivers' tendencies. It takes a little while for things to get sorted out. But it seems like we're getting to that point of the season where kind of know how everybody around you races. You're learning driver tendencies. You kind of know how to handle certain moves a little bit better. And these races are starting to trend back in the green flag direction. So you can see the driver that was involved in that lap 1 incident, Jake Ellingson, back out on track, logging some laps here this evening. Just stick with it. You don't know if some other drivers might run into trouble. You can go out there and pick up some more points here on the evening. So
we're working on it here.
Yeah, they are working on it. The way some of these battles have been going and some of these slot jobs we've been seeing, like that one right there, you got to think at some point, maybe one of them gets mistimed just a little bit, and next thing you know, got a caution that brings everybody back together and possibly lets you pick up another spot or two. It's maybe, I think Thaddeus Friel might be in that category mentioned, maybe pushed just a little bit too hard, but green flag pit stops are not going to be far away here. We're on lap number 45 already. Said that green flag run would be anywhere from 48 to 52 or 53 laps. And, with the caution there, drivers could maybe make it a couple laps further. So got to think we're closing in on that. And speaking of closing in, that is Jonathan Cofield closing in on the back bumper of Patrick Drabick, trying to work his way up to a podium spot.
Yeah, I think it's that downshift. I'm not hearing that from some of these guys, and Drabick wasn't doing it. He might be trying to do it now, but you see him push way up the racetrack. Cofield didn't shift down that time. I'm really surprised there. He's been getting really good runs with it, but I don't think he needs to right now. I think he's probably already in the mindset of, we're going to be pitting here in about 5 or 6 laps. I'm going to work diligently, take my time here around Drabick, don't want to make a mistake, and then go back to it in that clean air. I think he'll make up a lot of ground before we hit the pit road.
Yeah, that is a good possibility. And it's something that, like we had talked about earlier, we've seen it before at other racetracks in the trucks. Like I know New Hampshire is one, Milwaukee is another one where you can really use that shift to try to get the truck to rotate or just carry a little bit more momentum. So Cofield using it to his advantage here this evening. Cody Anderson is now caught right back up to this battle as well. He is showing a lot of long run pace here this evening.
I'm liking his long run speed. I like this from Cody Anderson. He's notorious for saving his tires and maybe driving it a little softer than everybody else for the first half. But sometimes it comes back to bite him. He drives it too soft, he gets buried in the field, and then something happens. He gets caught up in an incident beyond his control. This field is spread out enough that he's been able to show his strong suit. I like what he's doing right now, and he definitely has top 3 speed if this race stays green.
Yeah, absolutely. He could get up there and put himself into a podium position very easily. He is right on the cusp of that as they run out on the racetrack. He's been really close to Jonathan Cofield a couple of times here. Possibility of trying to get around them, but Cofield starting to pull back away just a little bit and try to find his way around that 07 of Drabick. A run here off of turn 4 for the 58 of Jonathan Cofield. We'll see if he can get around Drabick as we approach the halfway mark here. He's got the momentum to the inside, and it looks like he is indeed going to be able to clear the 07. And here comes Cody Anderson. He's going to get around Drabick as well. So 2 spots in 1 turn there, lost for Patrick Drabick. And Cody Anderson, I think that is huge for him if he wants to continue to put the pressure on Cofield, that he doesn't have to waste any time trying to get around Drabick.
Yeah, and I think Drabick overdrove the entry to 1 there. Little mistake, a slight miscalculation. Couldn't get the run off the corner. But now, if you're Patrick Drabick, you're going to follow these guys for a few laps before we hit pit road and learn what they did in that long run. You can already see he's kind of corrected his line. He didn't overdrive the entry. A little early to the gas there, I think, maybe on the exit. But he is learning that these guys are they're a different approach, and that could help him in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. At the very least, he is learning for how to possibly change up his driving lane, but he's going to go ahead and hit pit lane here, take advantage of those fresher tires and try to do the undercut here. Levi McCarty, the race leader, he's also on pit road, and I have a feeling this is going to open the floodgates here.
Yep.
As Mark Whitley assumes the race lead. And I believe I just heard on race comms that he's going to be hitting pit lane this time around. This puts him squarely in the window to make it to the end of this event. See how Whitley gets on the pit road here, able to get it slowed down. That was a pretty quick entry, but it looked like he was able to get it to pit speed in time. That is going to hand the lead now to Jonathan Cofield for the first time this evening. Both he and Cody Anderson choosing to run it a couple of laps longer here. And I like the call. Those 2 drivers have been really fast on the long runs. So now, give up a little bit of time with coming in a lap or 2 later and just maximize that speed advantage with fresher tires now at the end of this race.
Yeah, but you don't want to stay out too long, right? for every lap that this happens, these guys get back on the racetrack. You were talking about the fall off earlier. It's almost 3 seconds, Daniel, that these guys have fallen off in some cases. So that's a lot to overcome when you go 2, 3, 4 laps longer than everyone else. Now you've got to make up 2, 3, 4 seconds on the racetrack. You better have a perfect pit entry or you're going to lose even more time.
Yeah, that is absolutely true as well. And I thought we might see one or both of these drivers come down pit lane this time around, but Cofield and Anderson both still choosing to stay out on the racetrack. That part kind of surprises me a little bit. I thought at the very least we might see Cody Anderson just do the opposite of whatever Jonathan Cofield does and maybe say, all right, if he doesn't pit this lap, I'm going to, and try to do the undercut here to get around him. But both drivers staying out. And I believe this time around we may see the 58 truck on pit road. It looks like he is indeed coming down pit lane. So that's going to hand the lead over to Anderson. He's the last one to pit, and he is still out on the racetrack. So that's another strategy that I've seen out of Cody Anderson quite a few times before, is he is not afraid to run it long and try to see if he can either catch a caution or just have that massive tire advantage at the end of the race.
Michael Jones on the clutch pedal here. So the 0-2 trying to stretch this run as far as he possibly can with 100% fuel. The mark right around that 53, 54 lap mark, but I heard the clutch pushed in here for the 0-2. He's making up some ground because of this, but I think, you know, just being a little bit further back in the pack, this doesn't hurt him.
No, he has nothing to lose by throwing the Hail Mary there. I'm a big fan of, you know, if you're running back outside of the top 10, just try it. You don't know if it's going to work or not, but it's worth the shot to at least give it a go and see if you can catch a caution that gives you a tire advantage, gives you the track position. In this instance, it does not work out for Michael Jones, but now both he and Cody Anderson on pit lane. That is going to give the lead back to the 51 of Levi McCarty. Patrick Drabick in second, Mark Whitley third. Got Wesley Burke in fourth. Jason Kristen now actually in the fifth position. He was the first one to hit pit road. He's got 11 laps on his tires already compared to just 5 for Levi McCarty. So that shows you just how massive the undercut is. We talked about the tire fall off and how big that is here this evening. Kristen, by pitting 6 laps sooner, able to work his way up into the top 5 during that pit cycle.
Now you have the flip side of that. If this race stays green, and they need it to stay green, if you're Jonathan Cofield, if you're Cody Anderson, you need this race to stay green and wide open to make up that ground now. Yeah, you could have a caution that groups this field back up, but then they're all going to pit. You're all going to be on the same tires. So you want that 6-7 lap advantage on tires to work. No cautions.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as we're just past halfway with the green flag pit cycle finished up here, let's go ahead and thank one of our league sponsors. That is Nasty's Bar and Grill. And in March 21st of 2012, Nasty's opened its doors in Hilliard, Ohio. From the get-go, they aim to embody the energy and passion their sons Nathan and John poured into their dreams. Nathan's commitment to hospitality ensured that every guest received exceptional food and service. They've hosted numerous fundraisers in their establishment with the goal of raising funds to donate a sim rig to a deserving veteran or first responder. We certainly appreciate all of their support here at Goat Locker Racing. And yeah, they've had quite a few events out there that have allowed us to do the sim rig giveaways, allowed Goat Locker to help fund that mission. So really cool with their support that we've got here in this series and with all of Goat Locker.
Actually, taking a look here, Hilliard, Ohio. That's about an hour and a half drive for me.
I was going to say, you try to see if that's in your neck of the woods that you might be able to
it's
venture out
70,
that way.
Interstate 70 all the way there. Maybe I'll pop by one day.
Well, there you go. Next time you're in the area, you'll have to stop in out there. And just tell him that Patrick Drabick sent you, whether he did or not. Just tell him that. We'll see how it works out for you.
I'll go in there like undercover boss, I think. I think I'll just go in there and not tell anybody who I am, order some food, look up at the TV, and see if anybody recognizes it.
There you go. Sounds like a good plan. But speaking of Patrick Drabick, up there in the second position, Levi McCarty continues to lead as he has pretty well dominated this race from the beginning. Patrick Drabick led one lap early on there. And then other than that, it's just been the green flag pit cycle. The only time that McCarty has not been in the lead to this point. Mark Whitley running in the third position. He has eluded the commentator curse to this point so far. And good on him to this point that he has avoided that with Friday the 13th commentator pick, all of that working against him to this point. Wesley Burke, your pick, he's in the fourth position. He's avoided the commentator curse so far here this evening as well. Really solid run for him, and another solid run. Just a lot of momentum that he's been building here ever since the beginning of this season. Tyler Justice now up into the fifth position, but I think that is going to be short-lived as he has teammate Jonathan Cofield here behind him. Cofield with 3-lap fresher tires does have that advantage over Tyler Justice, and we've already seen the long run pace throughout the evening. So I think Cofield, first opportunity, you would expect a teammate maybe give you a little bit of a break there to let you by.
And you have Ken Huber, who has been solid in the top 10 all evening long, but started up in third. And that was the part I was talking about earlier, where maybe they overdrove it a little bit and ended up losing positions. Huber now on the flip side of this run, he's lost a little bit of ground with the pit road execution, but still a top 10 is very doable. Running in seventh, you have Jason Kristen, who pitted way earlier than everybody else. Now kind of feeling that the tires have been burned off. He's fallen back to ninth. Cody Anderson with the execution on pit road. He lost a lot of ground to Jonathan Cofield. So be that he probably has speed to match the 58, it was that on and off the pit exit that he's going to lose so much ground. I don't think he can get back there. They're on about the same strategy, with Cofield pitting about a lap and a half sooner. I don't think Cofield is going to get caught here by Anderson.
Yeah, it's going to take a pretty Herculean effort for Cody Anderson to get up there and get the pressure back on Jonathan Cofield again, just with about 3 seconds in between them and a couple of trucks in between as well. So that's the other big factor with that, is it's not even necessarily the ground you have to make up, but it's also just the trucks that you have to pass in between and how much time are you going to lose with that. So a couple of things working against him, but not out of the realm of possibility. Anderson actually making a move on Jason Kristen here for the 8th position and able to complete that pass fairly easily, as he did have that pretty substantial tire advantage there and quite a bit of free racetrack in front of him as well here. So a good opportunity for Anderson to just kind of log some laps, try to get some of that ground back that he has lost. And, another thing I'm looking at here, just taking a look at the lap times for some of our leaders right now. Levi McCarty, your race leader, running a 33.34 the last lap. Patrick Drabick at 33.32. Mark Whitley at 33.19. All of those drivers pretty well even as far as that goes, but Jonathan Cofield still in the 32-second bracket at 32.91. So as they're running, he's currently about 0.4 per lap faster than your race leader. And even this last time around, still right around 0.4 of a second. So yeah, he's 5.5 seconds back, but still plenty of time, depending on how the tires equalize, that he can get up there and put some pressure on for a podium or even for potentially the lead.
Yeah, with this field being spread out, it makes it a little bit easier to, save those tires, take care of your stuff versus, racing really hard as you see another battle for 4th position. Going to be hard to hold off Cofield here. We saw it earlier, and now compound the problem. It's about 6 lap difference on tires now, with Cofield pitting 14 laps ago, Burke about 20 laps ago. That's quick work. And Cofield, of course, he's going to catch up probably to Whitley and Drabick, but I think, 1.7 seconds. No, actually, I stand corrected. 3.7 seconds to catch up here to the top three. That's a tall order. Still plenty of time to do it. Half a second a lap. It's doable.
It is. It's just going to take a lot of consistency out of that 58 truck. And when he catches them, he's going to have to try to make short work as well. He's not going to have any time to waste. The other thing that could potentially help him out here is if Drabick and Whitley start racing side by side and he can catch them a little bit quicker. And then potentially if they burn their tires up a little bit racing one another, that could help him out to at least get up to possibly the number 2 position here. And yeah, I mean, even just looking at our lap times, still about 3 to 4 tenths of a second per lap faster than those in front of him. Last time by, he ran a 33.08 to the race leader, Levi McCarty, a 33.43. So still quite a considerable pace advantage for him. And let's take a look. I want to see Cody Anderson as well. He's still at the 31.12s right now. So still a lot of pace out of Anderson. A top 5 is definitely not out of the equation for the 18 truck here either.
Yeah, it's just, I think it was the execution on pit road. You look at the amount of time down the pit lane. It was almost a full second slower than Cofield. Down that lane, it was 43.8 for Cofield, 44.7 for Anderson. So that's the difference right there. And it translates onto the racetrack. That's why you saw Anderson was really fast. He has the pace on the racetrack, but it's just that execution on that pit road, and that can make and break an entire race.
It can, and I think that's a really underrated part of iRacing as well. I know that is something that, to be honest, I never put a whole lot of stock into. I just always kind of, just didn't really pay a whole lot of attention to how much time I was losing or gaining on pit road, but there is certainly a lot to be gained or lost there, and evidence of that with the difference between Cofield and Anderson. But let's go back and take a quick look on the replay here, Bradley. Was there something that you may have caught there that I missed?
I saw some damage on the 07. I thought maybe he picked it up in this instance right here, because Mark Whitley was all over the back end of him going into 3. I thought maybe there was a bump there coming out of the corner, but apparently he had picked up that damage.
Oh, and the 07 is around. There is big damage on that truck. Patrick Drabick actually tows because of the damage. We are under the yellow flag here.
Right.
And this, let's take a look here. Yeah, I think that tells the tale there. That was really aggressive racing between the two of them. A block attempt from Patrick Drabick, and Mark Whitley there trying to make the pass around him. And that is a race ender for the 07. Yeah, looking at it from the higher angle, I think you are correct on that, Bradley. It did not look like a block from that upper angle there. Take one more look here. This is going back just a little bit further. Mark Whitley definitely gets a huge run out of turn number 4 down the front straightaway. This will give us a great view of it with this onboard with the 77. And Drabick goes to the inside, taking a defensive line, but he's pretty consistent with it. That is just that is just strange between the two of them there with that incident.
I think Whitley just kind of ran him over there. That's my opinion. Don't put me on goat talk later and ask me that question, but I think Whitley ran him over.
And I do believe, per race control, the 77 is being found at fault for that incident and will be issued an EOL as a result of that. So we'll confirm with what happens once we go back green here. We'll see if the 77 is sent to the back of the field. But everybody's going to take this opportunity to come down pit lane, put 4 tires on the truck, and get ready for a shootout to the end here. Going to be a much shorter run than what we've had on these previous instances. And Mark Whitley actually going to be the first truck off of pit road, followed by Levi McCarty, Jonathan Cofield, about Jason Kristen in fourth now, with Tyler Justice coming off a pit road in the fifth position. But I believe that the 77 will receive an EOL for that incident. But while we have a moment, we're going to take a quick commercial break here at Kentucky, and we will be right back with you to catch the restart in the green flag.
Superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
Welcome back to Kentucky Motor Speedway. The 77 of Mark Whitley was indeed given an EOL for that incident. So it's Levi McCarty, Jonathan Cofield on the front row as we get ready to go back green and head into that extreme scoring restart zone. Just over 20 laps to go to decide the winner of race number 5 here on the season. Green flag is out. Good jump here for Whitley, or for Levi McCarty rather. Jonathan Cofield slots into that number 2 position. And look at that, new player up there in the top 3. That is Jason Kristen in that green and black ghost truck. And he is now up into a podium position, but Tyler Justice on the outside trying to take it away. He's now in the podium position.
Well, we kind of got one there with the commentator's curse, and I know maybe
they're 3 wide off of 4.
It's almost 4 wide there. There they go.
They are 4 wide.
98.
Down goes the 98 of Thaddeus Friel Jr. Believe just very minimal contact to the wall there for the 98. Looks like he does have just a little bit of right front damage after that, but the caution is back out here at Kentucky. And 4 wide does not typically work very well at anywhere other than Talladega. About the only place that you can really get away with that. Friel, though, comes out the worst end of that incident. Let's take another look here on the V-Speed instant replay. And yeah, that's just, I mean, you can't really do much when you're in that position. They were already 3 wide here, and then Michael Jones starts to look down to the inside, which believe that Friel probably didn't get the spotter call for 4 wide. He's anticipating that Jason Kristen is going to be all the way down to the apron, which Kristen can't do because he's got the 0-2 down there as well. Maybe a little bit more room that Kristen could have moved down, but it's just so hard when you're in that position because you don't have a live spotter to really tell you how much room you have on either side.
Yeah, and we're making decisions in a split second. So you either commit or you lift, and you have that blink of an eye to decide that, right? As soon as that 0-2 dives down to the inside, you can either lift out of the throttle, let him go, and then give some room there to the guy to your outside, or you can stay in it knowing that you're racing with 20 laps to go. And the closer we get to the word to go, the more likely these drivers are not going to lift.
Yeah, and I can't say I blame them there. When it's down to this point of the race, inside 20 to go, you're not lifting. It may be 3 wide, 4 wide, whatever the case is. You know that there is a lower likelihood of getting that position back if you yield it. So I can't blame them for not wanting to back out of that position. But while we have a moment here under caution, let's go ahead and thank another one of our league sponsors, and that's going to be the GLR Pit Crew. The GLR Pit Crew program is a monthly giving initiative designed to provide consistent, meaningful support in our fight against PTSD, mental health struggles, and suicide in the veteran and first responder community. When you join, you're not just making a donation, you're becoming part of a team, the team that keeps this mission moving forward. Learn more or join today at goatlockerracing.org and click on the Pit Crew banner. And I know I've seen some people posting that they've gotten their shirts in from that. You get that as part of the giving initiative as well with the GLR Pit Crew. So definitely go over to the website, check that out if you want to join on with that or support the cause.
Tape it up here, Daniel. Kind of going back to that trend, we had a long green flag run. We got green flag pit stops, did a complete cycle, ran another almost 20 laps of it. But now we're starting to get back into that slippery slope of cautions, breeding cautions. Any strategy you had, any long run speed, it's becoming null and void. You put the 77 deep in this field, but he's creeping back up here. You've got the 58 of Cofield, who had the tire advantage, probably gets a top 3. Can he salvage that? And then you have the 04, who was my pick here tonight, in traffic back here. So he's deep in this field, not where he was projected to finish this race. You get a handful of guys that maybe have the advantage on the short run, and they're going to show it here.
Yeah, and I really feel like the more that this turns into a short run restart kind of trend here, that it is going to play into the hands of the race leader, Levi McCarty. He definitely, in every vehicle I've seen him race here at Goat Locker, he always has really fantastic short run pace. And that's not to take away from long run pace from him by any stretch, but it's always amazed me how he is able to get that short run pace out of any vehicle that he's driving. And even on top of that, the leader just has such a massive advantage on these restarts. It's a lot easier to get clear. It's a lot easier to maintain that free air. And about the time that you may start to see that second or third place truck close back in, if you get another caution, then everything just went out the window. You're basically starting from square one again. So we'll have to see if it plays out. I still think if we do get a green flag run from here to the end, that the 58 of Cofield could potentially get up there and put some pressure on Levi McCarty. But the more that this breaks up and turns into a bit of a caution fest here, plays into the hands of the 51 truck. But we're going to try it again, try to get some green flag racing in here. The field heads into that extreme scoring restart zone in control of the 51 of McCarty. And he goes as soon as he gets an opportunity there in the restart zone. Green flag is back out and already clear of the second place truck of Jonathan Cofield. Cofield able to get clear of Ken Huber. First battle for position side by side is between Chance Taylor, Tyler Justice, and the 18 there of Cody Anderson. He's trying to work his way back up through the field after that pit cycle.
So now if you're Cody Anderson, you showed that you have long run pace. Can you show that you have short run? A pinch down here from the 33 of Justice. He's going to get a little bit tight. He has to lift out of the throttle. Justice gets the run. Here comes the 04 back to the top 5.
Yeah, and I think these short runs will benefit Wesley Burke as well. It seems like he does have better short run pace versus the long run from what we saw early on here this evening. Currently looking to the outside of Anderson, but not quite able to get clear as of yet. Drives it deep into turn number 3, but Anderson hanging door to door with him. The momentum should be with that top lane on the exit here. And they were thinking about 3 wide again there for a moment, but they decide better against it.
They're going to do it anyway.
Burke gets into the wall. They're 3 wide now. That is Justice up top, Taylor in the middle, Anderson on the bottom. 3 wide through 1 and 2, and nobody's going to lift out of this one. They're still 3 wide down the back straightaway. Finally funneling back down to 2 wide. Justice maintaining that position.
That's a shallow entry.
That is a shallow entry out of the 18 of Anderson. He gets a little tight on exit, but still able to maintain decent momentum. Here comes Brandon Wallace. First time we've really called his name. He's looking to the outside of the 0-4 of Burke.
He got a heck of a run there off of 4 with a little bit of checkup that the 18 had, and there's a push from Michael Jones to the inside of Brandon Wallace. But yeah, we haven't mentioned his name much at all here tonight, other than when we hit the grid. And the 99 truck has a chance at a top 10.
The 99 working his way up through the field. He's still to the outside of Michael Jones as we ride on board here with him. Down the front straightaway, not quite able to get clear as of yet. Jones hanging tough on the inside. It's going to be a tough pass to complete, but Jones drives it in deep on the bottom. Wallace still hanging tough on the outside. Keeps that momentum down the back straightaway, and neither one of these drivers wanting to yield. Park's giving a little bit of a shove there to Michael Jones, trying to push him past the 99, but not quite able to complete it. And it looks like Wallace may finally get clear of the 0-2.
And we'll single file out with 12 laps to go. Levi McCarty, who's dominated this race, he has led over halfway, and he'll get the most laps led here tonight. 80 laps of the 89 that will complete once we come down this backstretch into 3 and 4.
Yeah, Levi McCarty has led 80 laps so far on the evening, but Jonathan Cofield is not going to make these last 10 laps easy on him. Cofield is right there, and the rest of the field starting to close back up together as well. They're single file for now, but just 0.8 of a second from first to sixth right now, all kind of running really tight together. Tyler Justice now looking to the outside through 1 and 2. Not quite able to make a move on the 40 of Ken Huber. He's got Chance Taylor right behind him and Cody Anderson as well, both looking to take a position away, but they all just keep funneling back down to that single file. But here goes Justice looking to the outside again.
He had a good run there out of 4. He will get to the outside of Huber here across the tri-oval. He's going to carry that momentum into turn 1. I think we're about to see a change for P3.
Very well could see a change in that final podium position. Justice up on the high side, Huber on the bottom. Who does Chance Taylor go with down the back straightaway? Is he going to try to push that 33 of Tyler Justice? Looks like he does work with him just a little bit. Justice, though, still not able to get clear for the position. Huber hanging tough on the bottom, and Justice just about clear of him, able to clear down in front.
18.
Now contact. That's Anderson. That's the 0-4 of Burke. Anderson goes around. He's able to keep it off the wall. The rest of the field able to avoid him. Great job by the field to miss him there. And we are under caution inside of 10 laps to go here at Kentucky Motor Speedway. Let's take a look on the V-Speed instant replay for this one. See what happened with this. This was right where we were talking about that battle for position, and just contact between the two. Anderson drifting up into the 0-4 a little bit there, maybe anticipating taking a little bit higher line there through the tri-oval area. Let's take another look here. Taking a look from the overhead shot.
I think the 04 maybe drifts down too at the same time.
Yeah, it looks like a combination of they both kind of maybe anticipated the other driver taking a little bit of a different line through there. Take one more look at it here. 0-4 definitely comes down the track into the 18 as well, but the 18 moves up just ever so slightly. And if you're Wesley Burke, you're probably anticipating that Anderson's going to cut down across the yellow line, maybe stay a little bit lower. If you're Cody Anderson there, you're maybe trying to move up the track a little bit to avoid those bumps on the bottom, thinking that Burke is going to take a little wider lane, and the two of them come together in on the front straightaway there.
Yeah, I think that's just a product of a racing incident right there. I don't think anyone was particularly to blame. Yeah, Anderson probably cuts down lower. That's avoided. But then also, you have a truck to your inside. You got to assume that they're going to do something completely different. As we watch cars come down pit road, the 04 of Burke, who just made that contact, has everyone from 6th place back. You have Whitley in there. You have Wallace. You have Feltz. Everyone coming into pit. Actually, Feltz going to stay out on the racetrack, so he'll get up to 6th position with about 17 lap old tires on this stint. but I like the call here. Take your last set of tires if you got them.
Smoke them if you got them. That's
Exactly.
what I'm going to say with that. And I love the call too. We've seen the tire fall off throughout the night. We've discussed it at length. The top 6 are going to be on those older tires. Like you said, 17 laps total, probably about 10 of those under green. Mark Whitley going to be the first one off pit road on fresh tires. That may not be good news for the rest of the field. We've seen the speed that he has. The biggest question is, will he have enough time to get there? Mark Whitley, Brandon Wallace, Michael Jones, and Cody Anderson, the first ones off of pit road on fresher tires. So this is going to get good. This is going to get really exciting here with a late race restart. So before we get to that point, we've got one more bill that we've got to pay, one more sponsor we got to thank here for their support with Goat Locker, and that is Lincoln Tech. Lincoln Tech's mission is to provide superior education and training to students for in-demand careers in a supportive, accessible learning environment, transforming students' lives and adding value to their communities. They're one of the largest automotive technology schools in the nation with 30 campuses, and we appreciate all of their support here with Goat Locker Racing. So Bradley, we're going to have 5 laps to go when we go back green. We've got a split strategy here, tires versus no tires. What do you think we're in for here on this next restart? And do you think it is the last restart we're going to see?
I think we should crack open another beer, Daniel. I don't think this is the end of it. We've seen it get hectic in these races before, and you're watching some of these guys that have been outside looking in all race long, now up here with a real shot at getting the victory. 17-lap-old tires versus brand new ones. It might take a lap or two, but if this thing goes green out to the end, I expect to see everyone from 7th place on back mixing it up in this top 5. I don't see why they wouldn't.
And also, I hate to be the one to tell you this, Bradley, but Wesley Burke was given an EOL for that last incident. Your race pick with a late EOL here going to be difficult.
I tried to talk it down in the broadcast and get my boy up there, but it just,
Yeah, going to be difficult to recover from that. But yeah, I agree with you. I think that we are going to see some pretty aggressive moves here from those that have the fresher tires. And, especially from the guy that I picked to win, that 77, 4th in line there on the bottom. He's going to have a tire advantage, and he's got a lot of speed in that truck, even on equal tires. But we're getting ready to go back green here with 5 laps to go at Kentucky Motor Speedway. Like Bradley said, grab your beer, grab your bourbon, whatever you're drinking here tonight, and get ready for a show as we head into that extreme scoring restart zone. Green flag is in the air, a massive jump for the 51 of Levi McCarty. He absolutely took off on that restart. He is already cleared by a couple of truck lengths over Jonathan Cofield, who slots into the 2nd position. We'll see if those fresher tires are able to work their way up through the pack.
Yeah, they're working quick here, Daniel. Look at them, 3 wide down the back stretch.
3 wide, but those are all the drivers that are on the older tires. Here goes Mark Whitley to the top side. You got to go where they ain't and try to take advantage of it. Whitley now up into the 4th position, side by side with Chance Taylor. Here comes Brandon Wallace. He's on fresher tires as well, trying to work his way back up through the pack. Oh, these guys are going to have to go after it, but Mark Whitley now is looking outside of the 3rd position. I think this one might be his to lose.
Yeah, he's got a lot of speed here. He's going to go to the inside for the 2nd position. 4 laps to go, and he's already made up 5 of the 6 positions he needs to gain. The last one right in front of him, the dominant driver of the day, Levi McCarty, is going to have to defend for 3 more laps. 4 wide
this is
behind
going to
him.
be the hardest one. They're 4 wide down the front straightaway. Brandon Wallace almost turned off the nose of the 18. They're still 3 wide down into the turn.
Oh,
bouncing
there's the
off of each other.
contact.
Tyler Justice hangs on to it. What a save out of the 33, but up at the front, they're 3 wide for the lead. Levi McCarty tries to defend. He can't do it. Here goes Mark Whitley in the 77 to the lead with fresher tires. Coming to 2 laps to go.
There's a look at it off of turn 2. There's the 3 wide defending with Cofield to the inside. It broke the momentum of the 58, but Whitley had just set sail. He's got those fresher tires, and he's gone.
He is absolutely checked out, but here comes Brandon Wallace, the 99, also on fresher tires. He's looking to the outside of Levi McCarty, trying to take away the number 2 position. Brandon
Again.
Wallace able to easily clear the 51, and he is up to P2. The battle is on, though, for the final podium spot. Look at Michael Jones there in the 0-2. We are coming to the white flag. 1 to go, presented by Glove Station.
Contact!
Quality gloves. Sorry, I can't get that word. I can't get that out. There's a huge wreck on the front straightaway. The 0-2 of Michael Jones is around. A track blocker on the front straightaway after the white flag comes out. We are going to the end. Battle back to the line. Mark Whitley in the 77. He has got clean racetrack ahead of him. He's going to bring it around through turns 3 and 4 to finish off the comeback and take the win here at Kentucky. The 77 of Mark Whitley, just 5 laps led on the evening. He is your race winner. Brandon Wallace comes home in the 2nd position.
He did it again. Another commentator curse buster for the 77. And honestly, I didn't project that finish at all.
I never had a doubt. I knew from the beginning he had it. I knew it. I just knew it.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that with all sincerity, but I thought when he got
this coming?
I don't think anybody saw that. I don't even think Brandon Wallace saw that coming. The 99 is not terrible tonight. He is the 2nd place finisher. Levi McCarty rounds out the podium. Bradley, before we take our final commercial break, let's see if we can get a replay of that wreck that happened coming to the line. I saw it started with the 0-2 of Michael Jones, somewhere back in that area.
Yeah, these are fresh tires.
Yeah, this is when they had taken the 2 to go. So this is going to be coming back around to the 1 to go here in just a moment. And yeah, like you said, the 0-2 of Michael Jones, he had the fresher tires. He had the speed in that truck. And just, I mean, such a huge difference with those fresher tires. He gets into the 58 of Cofield, doors just a little bit there, and then they make contact again. Shoves Cofield all the way down into the grass, and oh my gosh, I didn't even see Cody Anderson get taken out in that as well. And I believe Tyler Justice got taken out at the end of that as well in the 33 truck. That one caught a lot of drivers there after we took the white flag.
Then it was so spread out after that point. Even if Brandon Wallace made a mistake, I think the fresh tires, McCarthy's not going to catch it, but still a podium day for the 51 after he led 89 laps. I thought it was going to be 90, but he dominated this race. He had 89% of it in his column, and it just, I think it got stolen away from him.
Yeah, and sometimes it comes down to a strategy call. That is definitely part of racing. You take them however you can get them. And tonight, the 77, we've seen him win plenty of races on pure pace, but tonight it is the strategy call that gets him the win. But we're going to take a quick commercial break, let these drivers finish up their celebrations. We will be back to get a word with our top 3 finishers right after this.
Racing. We're in the game.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
superior quality, ultimate protection, and the highest level of craftsmanship. We make our gloves for the hard worker that wakes up every morning and gives 110%. You deserve the highest quality protective gear that's going to work for you, day in, day out. We know it can be tough deciding what companies to trust for your hard-earned money. It's all in our name. We've mastered our craft to help you master yours. We make our gloves rugged, durable, and designed for you. Whatever the job is, we have you covered. We are your glove station.
A thriving job market and low cost of living, plus a wide range of veteran benefits, make Indiana the perfect place for veterans of the United States military to call home. InVets can help you find that home. We're an organization started by veterans to help former service members transition to civilian life in our state. InVets can help you find the community with the career opportunities, housing, schools, and amenities that fit your lifestyle. To learn more about InVets, visit us at invets.org today.
Welcome back to Kentucky Motor Speedway for the SAVE22.vet Truck Series. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at your full race rundown to let you know where your favorite driver finished here this evening, and then get a word from our top three finishers. Coming home with the win is Mark Whitley in the 77 with the tire strategy call at the end. Brandon Wallace also utilizing those fresh tires to finish in P2. Biggest mover of the race as well, up 19 spots from where he started. Levi McCarty, dominating night to night, comes home in third position. Ken Huber comes home in fourth. And I'll be honest, Bradley, I didn't even catch this. Mike Browning in the Ford truck, after being involved in the lap one wreck, comes home to finish fifth, avoids the calamity. What a comeback for the Ford truck. And I mean, that is definitely deserving of a shout out for him in the fifth position. Wesley Burke finishes in sixth, Jonathan Cofield in seventh, James Kaufman in eighth, Chance Taylor in ninth, and rounding out the top 10 here this evening is going to be Charles Aber.
4 cautions, 9 lead changes. That doesn't tell the whole story, but it does tell a story for Jason Kristen, who ends up 11th. He was part of that calamity that brought out that late race yellow, and then you had tires become the factor for Chuck Phelps, who stayed out, restarted 6th, ends up 12th. Then you have Thaddeus Friel Jr. He was involved in an incident earlier in this race. He'll finish at 13th. Matt Knight is going to finish in 14th. Daniel Parks, Michael Jones, Tyler B. Justice. Tough break for Cody Anderson. Definitely had a top 5 finish coming his way. He'll end up 18th, 19th to Michael Kostick, your points leader coming in to this week, I do believe. Jacob Ellingson, the luck continues, Friday the 13th. And then you have 4 more trucks to talk about here with Patrick Drabick, who was up front for the first half of this race, right across the nose of your race winner. So I'm interested to see how those questions will go. He broke the truck. Noah Hogar is going to finish in 22nd. James Goshen finishing 23rd. Early exit to this race, 98 laps down. And I don't believe Eldon Stewart took the grid here tonight. It looks like 103 laps down to finish this one off.
Well, let's go ahead and get a word with our top 3 finishers, starting off with the man who defied all odds to break the commentator's curse on all days of Friday the 13th. That is your race winner, Mark Whitley. This is Bradley and Daniel up in the V-Speed booth. You got us?
Yeah, I got you.
Well, what a roller coaster night for you. You ran up in the top 3 pretty much the entirety of the early part of the race, got sent to the back with an EOL after the contact with Patrick Drabick. Talk a little bit about that incident with the 07 and exactly what happened from your perspective in the driver's seat.
Well, from my point of view, it was just, I got, I think a lap newer tires, maybe 2 laps newer, and I ran him down a little bit, and I was trying to just go around his outside, and I got to I felt like I was there on his quarter panel going through the tri-oval the first time, and I don't know if he just didn't see me or what, and he just put us both into the fence. And then, I was a little miffed about it, so I wanted to give him a little bump down the front straightaway, and I don't know what happened. If he checked up, or I don't know what happened. I gave him a little bump that wasn't hardly nothing, and he all of a sudden looked like he turned right. So I don't really know what happened on his end, but just my end, I was just trying to give him a little bump, just be like, hey, I didn't appreciate it. And next thing I know, he's, firewall deep. So I don't know. I don't really know if it was like a net code thing. I know I was having some issues toward the end of the race with it blinking. So I don't know if maybe net code somehow messed him. I really don't know what happened after that. But it's one of those things that, um, you don't really appreciate getting put in the fence. But I'm sure it wasn't on purpose. I'm assuming it wasn't because it put them both in the fence. But it's one of those things that sometimes it just happens and it just feels like it's out of nowhere. So not really, hopefully we can just both ignore it and keep going like nothing happened, because it was just kind of strange from my point of view.
Well, Mark, I'll gladly ignore it because you ignored it when you got that EOL. You come back with the cycle of the strategy, a truck that, probably ends up in second position in this race, but you have those fresh tires. And how did that kind of contrast to the rest of this race? Now you're in a scenario where you can control the restart. You run through the field and go 3-4 wide, passing them like they're sitting still.
Yeah. I knew, especially once we when the whole caution with him came out and we started having, I figured we were going to have a few more cautions just because it was getting toward the end of the race, and the truck was just plowing so bad I felt like I was out there in a plowing snow, because it wouldn't rotate through the corner. And I figured, right sides usually make the thing loose as hell. So if first chance I got to put right sides on it, I put right sides on it. And I was telling Brandon, I'm like, it drove so much better with those right sides. Like I don't know if it was when I was passing Levi or the lap before, when I was outside in turn one, I put my foot down on it and the rear end about stepped out, and I'm like, whoa, where's this been all race? Like it was a nice change to not have to, lift on exit trying to knock the fence down. I mean, I could like put the power down, just kind of put a little bit of counter steer in it and just kind of drive off the corner. It was so much nicer. So it just worked out. I mean, that caution came out like literally in the perfect spot for us. Everybody behind us came in, a couple guys in front of us did. I took 2, everybody else took 4. I jumped all them guys and got a decent restart, and we were off to the races. It's just one of those things, sometimes you're good and sometimes you're lucky. And this one we were 100% just lucky to get this win. But Friday the 13th, commentators curse, maybe it's a reverse jinx. I don't know, whatever it was, I'll take it though.
Hey, it is not easy to overcome the commentator curse here at Goat Locker, especially when I'm the one picking you. I mean, I've seen drivers' internet get knocked out on the first lap of the race when I pick them to win. So you just never know how that's going to work out. But we've seen you win so many races on pure pace over here in Goat Locker. You could say that you got lucky with this one, but either way, you still had the speed to get up there and do it even with those fresher tires. So congrats on the win. Enjoy the off week next week. And before we let you go, who you got to thank, any sponsors or shout outs for this one?
Yeah, thanks guys. Well, first and foremost, shout out to all the league sponsors here, helping put on this league. We wouldn't be here without them. Lincoln Tech, SAVE22, in the Indiana Department of Veteran Affairs, INVETS, ATYL, just everybody that helps put on this league, the great cause behind it. I appreciate all them. My personal sponsor is Brantley, which I think he's also a league sponsor now, over at Harpoon Design. Does awesome paint jobs. This truck is one of his best masterpieces he's done for me and maybe ever. So check him out at harpoondesign.com. You can get you a good looking race car like I do. Then my other sponsor, Jawad.gg. Everything's really crazy right now in the PC gaming marketplace. It's kind of situation with the RAM and all the stuff going on, but they got you covered over there. If you're looking for an upgrade or a whole brand new system, they got great deals going on right now. I think I got an email that they're doing some like $20 off promo right now with their emails. So if you want to go check them out at java.gg, they got you covered over there. Everybody tune into these broadcast races. You guys are putting them on. They're always fun to go back and watch, and I guess, final shout out to Levi. He definitely deserved this race, and I kind of stole it from him. So I kind of feel bad on one way because that man, he was the class of the field tonight. So hats off to him.
There you have it from our race winner, Mark Whitley. Congrats again. We will see you in 2 weeks at Texas Motor Speedway.
Sounds good, guys. Take it easy.
And let's go ahead and talk to our second place finisher. I know he's got to be excited, not even just because he finished second, but because he gets to talk to me, his favorite commentator at all of V Speed. That is Brandon Wallace in the 99 truck. This is Bradley and your favorite commentator. You got us?
I got you 10-4. How's it going, fellas?
Oh, it's going great. I know you got to be feeling good about that one here this evening. Coming home in P2, the 99 is not terrible tonight. Talk a little bit about that late caution. You came down, put tires on, and just talk a little bit about how you were able to drive up through the field to get to that P2.
Yeah, I knew I was hurting tires at the start, and even the first run, I was asking how everybody else was doing. I was single digits after I'd stopped for fuel on that first caution, and so I went a little long, but I was 9 on the right front, which is great for me. And so I thought, okay, now come out, no cautions, we're rolling around, and I'm just trying to catch the few that I can catch and bide my time. And then when we had talked about it with the team, with the Bandits guys about, when's the cutoff for if we get tires, and they were like 90, 91. I'm like, I don't care if it's 92 or 3. Like, I'm getting tires, and they didn't get tires, and I did, and they thought, oh, it's only 3-4 laps, you're not going to catch, And Whitley, I saw he came out in front of me on 2, and I'm like, But he rolled the outside real good in 3 and 4 and just passed 4 or 5 cars where I was kind of on the bottom and had to take it a little easier. And so it was off. Like I said, it was just tires that did it. It wasn't any outright speed because the 99 was pretty terrible early in the race.
Well, we can say whatever we want to say, but ultimately you made the call, Brandon, to come down and take those tires. And me and Daniel, while we were under commercial break, mentioned, that was the winning call. A lot of these guys we were surprised didn't come down. I figured we would see at least 90% of the field come down, and we end up having the top 5 to race through at the end of this thing. They did everything they could, and you navigated it well. But how much of a headache was it for you coming into that, 3, 4, and then we go down to 2 laps to go? You're 4 wide at one point.
Yeah, I knew when we started, Chuck was in front of me on the outside, and Whitley was on the inside, and Chuck had been a little tentative on the outside of 1 and 2, and so I knew I had to get down quick, and luckily there was a gap, and then Whitley kind of took off, and luckily it forced Levi and them down just a little bit off the track for me to run the high side, and it had the speed, but it was definitely white knuckling there towards the end going, Noah had it, but just didn't want to, knew everybody behind me, I could see them. They were running up hard on tires. That somebody was going to run over somebody. That was just a matter of time.
Well, really solid run for you. You played the strategy card perfectly here this evening and came home with the runner-up finish. Before we let you go, Brandon, who you got to thank for this one?
I have to thank you guys in the booth, even you, Daniel. We do appreciate it, especially V-Speed, But everybody at GLR, Pat, Jamie, Jake, all those guys that put this series on, Jam Printing and Promotions, Alexander PC's Cruising Classics, and, of course, all my Bandits guys. I tried to tell them to get tires there at the end. They didn't believe me, but they're a believer now.
Hey, sometimes it pays to listen to the 99, as much as it pains me to say that. Sometimes you get it right.
Old age and treachery sometimes.
Well, congrats again on the P2. Enjoy the off week. We'll see you at your home track the next time we're out here out of Texas.
All right. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
And that was our second place finisher, Brandon Wallace. We'll go ahead and get a word with our third place finisher, the man that dominated this race this evening, Levi McCarty. Levi's Daniel and Bradley. You got us?
Yeah, guys.
Well, man, I mean, that was definitely your race tonight. Started on pole, led 89 laps, just absolutely dominated. Of course, it came down to the tire call there at the end. With that late race caution, was there ever any thought of coming down, putting tires on with as significant as the fall off was here this evening?
Yeah, I thought about it briefly, but it's just I've been burnt so many times giving up track position like that, so I figured staying out, it would a bunch of other guys would stay out with me, and that kind of happened, and figured we'd get maybe another caution, stack things back up, and then I'd be fine. What really hurt was, everybody kind of that was on the same tires as me got in a straight line, and working the bottom of the track, and the top opened up for those guys on tires. Like nobody was really battling. So if that would have happened, we might have been able to hold them off. But you don't really know how crazy the tire advantage is going to be until you kind of see it, and that was the first shot at seeing it during the race. So it's unfortunate, but I've been working on saving tires, and I felt like we did a great job of that tonight again, and it's going to pay off in the long run for us, for sure.
Well, you stuck with your strategy all race long, Levi, and you led 89 laps. You were in clean air for 89% of this race. Do you think that maybe played the factor of them guys catching you off guard and throwing this race into a tizzy? I mean, you kind of got it stolen away.
Yeah, it definitely did. I mean, you didn't really have much experience having to make it. We held off Pat there early in the first run, but yeah, didn't really have the experience of making passes and everything. So I honestly didn't want to go back there and learn it on the fly. And that's poor decision that was made tonight, but we'll move on and
no podium, right?
That's right. Yeah. And dude, pumped for Brandon Wallace. Like, that's awesome. He's one of the nicest guys in this league, and that took the sting of losing away a little bit more. Him finishing second, that was cool to see.
Well, congrats again. You had a ton of speed. Like you said, if you keep this up over the course of the season, there's going to be more wins that come your way for sure. You're already establishing yourself as one of the favorites here week in and week out in this truck series. Before we let you go, who do you want to thank or shout out for this one?
iRacing, MK Fire Designs, Sim Motion, Harpoon Designs. Huge shout out to Brantley and those guys for coming aboard this year. Zach Graphics and SAVE22 for putting on the series. Gives us an awesome place to come in and race on Friday nights. And thanks for an awesome broadcast, guys. Appreciate everything you do.
Right. Congrats again on the P3. We'll see you at Texas.
Thanks, guys.
Well, there you have it from our top three finishers on the evening. Bradley, we saw a little bit of everything here this evening, from long green flag runs to the calamity and chaos at the end. I mean, did this race deliver everything that you thought it would?
Absolutely. It put on a fantastic show, and what a way to segue to our hiatus. We're going to take a little bye week here and move on to Texas. And before you ask me who I think is going to win there next week, I'm just going to go ahead and say it now. Levi McCarthy, we're just going to do it in reverse. So everything you did here tonight, we're going to do it in reverse. So we're going to run the racetrack backwards. It's similar to this. And I think you lead the last 5 laps and you take away the win.
There you go, Bradley Cooper breaking out the crystal ball here this evening. And like you said, we've got the off week next week, taking a week off, early season bye to let these drivers, some of them probably don't want the bye. Some of them probably want to keep the momentum, but let some of these other drivers kind of have a little reset here early on. February 27th, we will be back in the Lone Star State, Texas Motor Speedway, here for the SAVE22.vet Truck Series. But that is going to do it for our coverage here this evening. So on behalf of Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barkis, and everyone at Goat Locker, as well as everybody at V-Speed, Adam Baker, Morgan Cook, Eddie Smith, Logan Threlkeld, as well as my colleague up here, Bradley Cooper. And as always, thank you to Dougie Beard for those camera angles. My name's Daniel Cunningham. Thank you for spending your Friday evening with us. Enjoy the Daytona 500 weekend. Know that everybody's going to be tuned in watching that here this weekend as well. We will see you in 2 weeks at Texas.